Hey there. I wanted to jump on and make a little video about some of the spices of the season that you will be probably cooking with and baking with if you do any holiday cooking like that. Um, I was inspired because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine and we were talking about this, about how if you're ever in my apothecary and you look at all the Ayurvedic herbs, you'll see a lot of familiar spices that you might have in your spice cabinet at home. And there's in Ayurveda, it's really beautiful that we use a lot of these herbs and these spices as medicinal herbs because they are so healing. So we were talking about all the healing properties that they have, and it's not a coincidence that they're kind of seasonally appropriate. They might not necessarily grow locally and available in that way, but the spices are really supportive for what's going on in the environment internally and externally around you, and kind of support all of that. So I thought I did a quick little post on Instagram on the herbs, on the spices, and then I wanted to follow up and do a little bit more so I could kind of elaborate more on that. So I don't have them all in whole form here to show you, which would have been really great. But I do have a few. And the first one is cardamom, and I don't have any cardamom pods, but you can find them, and they're really cool to see. There's green and black cardamom, and they're medicinally pretty much the same. You can use them for the same reasons, indications. So cardamom, to check, I have to read off my notes. So it's really great for colds, coughs, bronchitis, asthma, other things like hoarse voice, loss of taste, for colic, poor absorption, indigestion, gas, and then also anxiety. This is one of the safest digestives. It stimulates Samanavayu, which is in Ayurveda, and in yoga philosophy you learn about the 5 pranas and the 5 vayus. And Samanavayu is where the digestion really starts, where you start to get that like inkling of hunger. So your appetite, things like that, are a measure of health. And so when you get that like, ooh, I'm kind of hungry, that's like Samanavayu kind of being stimulated. So it kindles the Agni, which is your digestive fire and your digestive strength. It removes kapha from the stomach and the lungs, hence that's why it's so good for bronchitis and asthma, because excess kapha in the stomach and the lungs relates to mucus in the lungs and coughing and that kind of thing. It stimulates the mind and heart and gives clarity and joy. When you add it to milk, it neutralizes its mucus-forming properties, and when you add it to coffee, it detoxifies the caffeine in the coffee. So that's always beneficial. Warm milk is something that's often given to children, or in Ayurveda, it's often like it's a really good kind of calming the nerves and kind of soothing the vata and bringing everything down and getting ready for bed. It's warming when you warm the milk. And you can be organic cow milk. It can also be almond milk or coconut milk. Coconut milk may not be so great in the winter if you live in a colder environment, because coconut is cooling. And so if you have cold in the body, especially if you have a cough or a cold or bronchitis or any like mucus or congestion in the lungs, you don't want cold. So other types of milk would be better. But anyway, warming the milk with spices is really great. So cardamom is also good for opening and soothing the flow of the pranas in the body. So that is the energetic life force in the body. It's good for nervous tummies in children. It helps stop vomiting, belching, and acid reflux. So cardamom is great, and it's easy to find, it's easy to use. I use it in a lot of my formulas. I use it in a lot of my prenatal formulas and my postpartum formulas and ways to make things taste good. And it's also a really good digestive stimulant, especially in my postpartum formulas, because of the state of digestion after you have a baby. Cinnamon is the next one I wanted to talk about. And cinnamon is good for colds, sinus congestion, bronchitis. It supports circulation. It helps with menstrual cramps. It's a good digestive tonic, and it also helps dispel gas. It's a warming and energizing herb for the whole body. It increases the general vitality. It's great for strengthening and harmonizing circulation. So Vyana Vayu, which can be like the hardest one to actually kind of get up and go, which is general circulation in the body. It's a great expectorant in colds and flus, and especially good for those with a weak constitution. So those who have been sick for a long time, or convalescing, or elderly, or anything like that. It strengthens the heart, warms the kidneys, promotes Agni, so that's another Ayurvedic term that's about digestive fire and strength. It's great in helping with digestion. It has been found to control blood sugar levels in diabetics, which is a high kapha indication, so it's a really good herb to lower kapha. It's a great muscle relaxant, so it's great for menstrual cramps and promoting menstruation. So in that way, in high doses, it can be not so good during pregnancy, but it's fine during postpartum. But a little bit like cinnamon in something that you're baking or anything that you would just be cooking. We're talking in like taking as in higher doses, but in your chai and in your everything else that you're baking, cookies and that kind of thing, it's not a problem. Ginger, I do have ginger because I can't live without ginger. I love ginger. It's also for colds, flus, indigestion, vomiting, belching, abdominal pain, laryngitis, arthritis, hemorrhoids, headaches, heart disease, circulation, motion sickness, nausea, morning sickness, and migraines. This is considered the universal medicine. Basically, you'll read ginger, like I was reading over my books, and it's like, you could give ginger to anybody and they'll feel somewhat better. It doesn't matter who you are. Ginger kind of helps in some way, helps something. Dry ginger, the powdered dry ginger, not the crystallized ginger, but the powdered dried ginger is hotter than the fresh ginger. And that is better for expectoring, like coughing up, and reducing mucus in the lungs. And that is also better for increased digestion and absorption, your Agni. Fresh is better for coughs and colds and vomiting. It's super easy to keep around. You can have, it's easy to keep the powdered dry ginger also, but ginger is like, you can use it in so many foods and recipes and that kind of thing, but it's great to peel and grate and make a simple tea, and it's really good for your stomach and keeping circulation and all of that going. It treats nausea and morning sickness, so ginger's always really good for those ginger chews or the crystallized ginger. Those are always kind of a good thing for new moms to have around because it can kind of help soothe the upset tummy. It lowers blood sugar in diabetics. It absorbs and neutralizes toxins in the digestive tract and increases secretions of bile and saliva. It can lower cholesterol and blood fats, including triglycerides, reduces oxidation of LDL, and prevents arterial plaque. Widely used for arthritis, cold hands and feet, circulation, and it brings on your period, brings on menses, and helps soothe menstrual cramps. It does help with migraines also. So it's a great headache formula if you feel that kind of coming on. yeah, ginger's one of my favorite. It's just always in my house. Nutmeg is also a favorite of mine, and this is what a whole nutmeg looks like. They're these solid kind of, they're seeds, and they're solid all the way through, so you grate them. You won't be able to cut them. You might be able to like kind of crush them. And they're beautiful inside. Let's see if I have a piece that I can show you. Oh, they kind of look like, they have these beautiful patterns on the inside. So that's like a nub. I have all these nubs from grating them. So they're really beautiful. Here's a little bit bigger of a nub. But they have these beautiful patterns. It's not focusing. And when you start to grate a new piece of nutmeg, the smell is so intoxicating. I love it. Nutmeg for poor absorption, abdominal pain and cramps and distension, diarrhea, dysentery, intestinal gas, insomnia, nervous disorders, impotence, hypertension, suppressed appetite, and cough. One of the best spices for increasing absorption, particularly in the small intestine. Great for calming the mind, good for incontinence and premature ejaculation. Relieves muscle spasms in the abdomen, so it's great for menstrual cramps. All of these herbs and spices are what we call in Ayurveda, and you might understand this in yoga terms too, as sattvic. So it means they bring calm and peace. They're not aggravating. They're not rajasic, so they're not going to stimulate too much. And they're not tamasic. They're not going to dull or dampen. They're very sattvic. They bring a lot of peace and calm to the heart and the mind, that kind of thing. All of these are also kapha and vata reducing and a little bit pitta increasing, mostly in excess, which is pretty much the season we're in. Like in Southern California, we kind of like, we go into vata, kapha, like we kind of, it's hard to tell because we're in a arid yet coastal desert, basically. So right now it's windy, it's cold for here and dry, and so we tend to be more vata, which is more dry, cold, that kind of thing. So what's nice about these spices, and also even if you're in a colder environment with snow, you're looking for things to warm you up internally and externally. So it's really good to kind of remember that all of these are doing something good for you. They're not just for flavors, but there's actually a deeper meaning and a deeper benefit to your body and your health. So yeah, look for the recipes with cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, and you will be nice and toasty this winter. So that's what I have for you for the warming spices of the winter. So enjoy, and I hope you have a wonderful cooking, baking, holiday season. Bye.